Chosen ones, tonight's message unravels a hidden timeline of truth, justice, and cosmic balance, a revelation long whispered in the shadows. What you endured, what they denied, and what the universe has quietly prepared is finally aligning. As illusions collapse and buried intentions rise to the surface, a secret long concealed is ready to unfold. In this video, you will discover why the storms you survived were not coincidences, but signs of a greater awakening that has now begun. Before we unlock these revelations, make sure to like this video so it reaches every soul who needs this message. If you're new here, subscribe to Elevated Essence and step deeper into this journey of truth, awakening, and spiritual empowerment. And if this message resonates with your spirit, share it with someone who needs clarity, strength, and confirmation. To connect your soul with the universe and with our journey, type truth in the comments. Let the universe see your alignment. Now breathe deeply. Center your spirit. Because what we're about to step into is not just a story. It's a revelation that mirrors your own path, your own awakening, and the justice unfolding behind the veil. Chosen ones, the truth erupted like lightning across the sky, sharp, brilliant, and undeniable. Each word you spoke landed with piercing clarity, striking at the heart of deception. You stood firm, unwavering as their faces lost all color in the presence of what could no longer be denied. The justice you carried unveiled what they had desperately tried to conceal. Truths too solid to refute, facts too rooted to dismiss. Now the fear that grips them is not born of anger, but of the chilling realization that everything you said was real. These were not exaggerations or illusions, but pure unfiltered truth laid bare for all to see. Their elaborate facades collapse under the weight of your clarity, and your pursuit of justice continues to light up the shadows they once hid in. Rather than accept responsibility, they recoil deeper into denial. Their eyes shift nervously. Their words falter because accountability, which they so often demand from others, now feels too heavy to bear when directed at them. Yet your justice was never driven by revenge. It was about truth, and that truth has become the very reflection they fear most, a mirror showing the reality they can no longer escape. Your spiritual awakening gave you vision beyond the physical veil, enabling you to see what was invisible to others. You traced the patterns, recognized the manipulation, and named the deception with unwavering boldness. For that, they called you unstable. For your courage to speak, they tried to cast you out. But time, the ultimate witness, has confirmed every word you shared. And now the reckoning they never believed would come is at their doorstep. The weapons formed against you, they return to their creators with divine accuracy. Those who dug traps for you now fall into the very holes they made. The same mouths that spoke poison into your name now taste that venom themselves. And not because you wish them harm. Your hands are clean, but because energy never disappears. It simply completes its circuit and returns to sender. Now they lie awake, tormented by the very chaos they orchestrated. Their anxiety exposes their false peace, and the misfortunes they plotted for you now haunt them daily. Ironically, the ones who ignored your warnings now rush to brace for the same outcomes you foresaw. They implement your insights without ever crediting you, too proud to acknowledge your foresight. They would rather endure silently than admit you saw what they couldn't. Justice has not arrived with loud noise or flashy display. It has crept in like dawn breaking through the night. It reaches every corner of deception and exposes what was never meant to see the light. Every scheme hatched in dark corners, each whispered conspiracy, each calculated slander, each tactic of isolation rises to the surface, unable to stay buried any longer. Those who once appointed themselves as your judges now find themselves before a much higher court. And those who tried to execute your reputation now face consequences that no amount of denial can deflect. Now they stand exposed under the harsh, unforgiving light. The universe may allow temporary injustice, but it always ensures ultimate balance. What unfolds now is simply the fulfillment of a spiritual equation set into motion the very moment they moved against you. Their frantic grip on false narratives reveals just how deeply rooted their fear has become. They sensed the potential consequences of their actions from the beginning, but took a calculated risk, betting on your silence, your collapse, your surrender. What they never anticipated was your resilience. They never imagined that your soul was shielded by divine forces beyond their comprehension. They didn't account for the sacred protection woven into your destiny. Watch now as their alliances fracture and collapse. Those who once stood together in opposition to your light now turn on one another with ruthless precision. Without a common enemy to unite them, their false unity dissolves. Like rats fleeing a sinking ship, they scatter, driven purely by self-preservation. Their loyalty was never to each other. It was only in their shared resistance to your truth. Your vision, sharpened by hardship, has never been clearer, while theirs has been clouded by ego, lies, and manipulation. You understood from the beginning that this battle was spiritual, not superficial. While they obsessed over appearances and material advantage, you saw through to the deeper war. You knew that what seemed like a temporary loss could be the setup for a divine victory. The wisdom forged in your suffering has become your fortress, while their superficial success now decays into devastating failure. The very institutions they once relied on to validate their deceit now begin to doubt them. Witnesses they gathered now contradict their own words. The evidence they forged collapses under scrutiny, exposing the lies stitched into every thread. And all this happens without you lifting a finger. Divine orchestration is accomplishing what your hands were never meant to force. Their refusal to accept accountability is not a show of strength, it's spiritual immaturity. Real power takes responsibility. Real leadership owns its failures. Their denial exposes a deeper weakness, not just fear of punishment, but fear of truly seeing themselves. Each word of truth you spoke planted a seed, and now the harvest arrives. You don't need to chase justice. It comes to you. The reality you created through truth and authenticity takes form, while their illusions built on deception dissolve in the daylight. The cosmic lens zooms out, and what once looked like isolated attacks against you now reveals itself as part of a much larger web. Your personal trials are recognized as a reflection of collective oppression. What felt like a private war is now seen as a key piece of humanity's awakening. Your vindication is not just about you. It's a signpost for widespread transformation. Those who weaponized your vulnerability find themselves defenseless. Those who exploited your moment of weakness now feel their own strength fading. And those who once laughed at your pain now wrestle with trials that make your past look light in comparison. What they inflicted upon you now returns to them not by your hand, but through the perfect balance of the universe, a justice that needs neither your vengeance nor your intervention. It simply operates as it always has. Watch closely and you'll notice how they seem to age before your very eyes. Deception takes a physical toll. The strain of sustaining elaborate lies weighs heavily on their body and spirit, accelerating their decline. Meanwhile, the truth preserves your vitality. The more they lie, the more exhausted they become. The more you align with truth, the stronger you grow. Their energy drains while yours expands. And with every passing day, the contrast becomes clearer. Your clarity shines brighter as their confusion deepens. Your peace grows as their chaos multiplies. Through every trial, you were refined like golden fire. What tried to destroy you ended up making you more authentic, more centered, more powerful. On the other hand, their refusal to grow traps them in cycles that never end. They resist the very lessons that could redeem them, reject the experiences that might elevate them, and refuse the accountability that could free them. But the spiritual laws they tried to bypass operate with perfect mathematical precision. What you put out returns to you. Intention becomes experience. Action breeds consequence. Whether they believe in these truths or not, they're still bound by them. Their denial didn't shield them. It only delayed the outcome. And now that delay ends. Watch now as they scramble in desperation, trying anything to outrun the reckoning that approaches. Like wild animals backed into a corner, they lash out, but their swings hit nothing. Their accusations grow louder, but fewer believe them. Their attacks intensify, but your peace is unshaken. Their plots are more obvious now, yet their effectiveness dwindles to nothing. What they fail to understand is that divine timing is not absence, it's precision. They misread delay as denial, mistook your patience for powerlessness. But now the universal forces set in motion move with a momentum far beyond their comprehension. The scale of what's arriving is more than they ever prepared to handle. The consequences aren't just legal or social. They're spiritual, and they run deeper than they ever imagined. Their fear grows because deep down they know this is no longer in their control. No manipulation can reverse their course. No network of influence can shield them from the spiritual laws they violated. This time they face something incorruptible, unshakable. Your truth shattered their illusions. Your authenticity exposed their performances. Your unwavering integrity made their corruption undeniable. While they paraded false righteousness, your genuine spiritual connection made their emptiness obvious. Your silent confidence highlighted their loud insecurity. Simply being your true self created a contrast so sharp, so unbearable that they could neither face it nor fight it. The very fire they meant to destroy you with became the forge for your armor. The deception they spun became the foundation for your discernment. Every weapon they used against you made you stronger. What was meant to break you only built your arsenal while draining theirs. Their former boldness has withered into trembling caution. Where they once spoke out boldly, now they whisper in secret. Where they once moved openly to sabotage you, now they hide in shadows. The bravado has faded, all that's left is fear and regret. Now they stand at a crossroads. One path leads to accountability, humility, acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and maybe even redemption. The other, if they choose to continue denying truth, leads to increasing consequences, spiritual collapse, and eventual destruction. Their fear doesn't just come from what's happening, but from realizing this may be their last opportunity to choose wisely. The universe may be patient, but it is not passive. Moments of decision always arrive. Your justice doesn't come from retaliation. It comes through revelation. Truth doesn't need to fight. It only needs to be seen. The light you shine never harmed the darkness. It simply revealed it. The clarity you carry doesn't attack confusion. It offers a higher lens. Because you stayed aligned with divine law, justice unfolds on your behalf without ever requiring you to become judge or executioner. And now, the spiritual emptiness of your opponents becomes glaringly visible as the temporary power they clung to crumbles in the presence of eternal truth. They now face cosmic foreclosure, their moral credit utterly exhausted through repeated violations of spiritual law. With no remaining ethical or energetic capital to bargain with, they stand before the consequences they can no longer delay or avoid. In stark contrast, the spiritual wealth you've accumulated, built through unwavering integrity in the face of persecution, shines brightly beside their obvious poverty of character and spirit. Observe how the very communities that once turned against you now begin to question their stories. The same people who once believed their lies are now doubting everything. Their influence wanes most significantly in the spaces they once used to hurt you the most. The territories they once dominated through deception are now awakening, liberating themselves through new clarity. Universal forces align not to reward ego, but to confirm truth. Because truth requires no maintenance, no manipulation. Unlike lies, which demand constant reinforcement and vigilance, truth stands unshaken, self-supporting, independent of others' belief or acceptance. And this is what terrifies them. Even if they deny it outwardly, deep down they understand spiritual law. Something ancient within them, some ancestral knowing reminds them that violation always invites consequence. Their growing panic is the echo of that realization. The awareness that what is approaching cannot be talked down, outrun, or negotiated with. Your vindication now carries the unmistakable weight of spiritual authority. Those who serve truth often walk a difficult road. But ultimately, divine wisdom never abandons its messengers. The mantle you bore, often reluctantly and under intense opposition, now receives the validation of the cosmos. Every message you once delivered and they dismissed now returns, proven accurate and undeniable. Notice the pinpoint precision of this justice. It does not move in vague general strokes. It strikes exactly where harm was done. Those who slandered your name now experience public discredit. Those who sabotaged your finances now endure financial collapse. Those who isolated you are now abandoned. Those who mocked your mind now wrestle with their own psychological unraveling. This is divine response, not revenge. Justice tailored with spiritual intelligence. They are only now discovering the divine protection that has always surrounded those who carry truth. The unseen guardians, the cosmic boundaries, the energetic shields, all of it existed beyond their perception. What appeared to them as vulnerability was in fact covered in immeasurable spiritual authority. Their attempts to rewrite the past fall apart dramatically as evidence surfaces with perfect timing, often through the very systems they once controlled. The mechanisms they used to hide the truth now expose them with stunning clarity. Universal law functions with or without human agreement, and their increasing desperation only signals how close the equation is to completion. This cosmic cycle, once set into motion, now reaches its balancing point. The imbalance they created must be corrected, and the precision of this universal recalibration is flawless. Your endurance through all their persecution becomes a testament to spiritual strength. They failed to recognize the qualities they mocked as weakness, grace, patience, humility now rise as proof of your power, while their arrogance reveals the fragility they tried to hide. The spotlight of higher awareness now shines into the shadows where they once acted freely, exposing everything to a growing number of awakened souls. Their panic, their evasion, their trembling voices, these betray far more than words ever could. Your vindication was never about personal gratification. It's about collective recognition of truth. This moment isn't just for you. It's for those who needed to see that spiritual justice is real. What you endured has become part of a greater curriculum for human awakening. That's why your justice is backed by supernatural force. It's not revenge. It's realignment. The entire universe now works to restore the balance they disrupted through their war against truth. Their downfall is not just their own. It's a demonstration of what happens when spiritual principles are violated at scale. And now the gap between your position and theirs tells the whole story. Your temporary pain has birthed permanent peace. Their momentary dominance now breeds lasting turmoil. Your integrity under fire built an unshakable core. Their corruption under comfort built only their collapse. Universal law is not concerned with punishment. It is concerned with restoration. And the fear they now carry is simply the soul's acknowledgement that the scales are correcting. This vindication arrived not on your timeline, not at your demand, but precisely when it could serve the highest purpose. The divine calendar operates on cosmic precision, not human urgency. What once seemed like delay now reveals itself as perfect orchestration, and those still clinging to denial, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, no longer demonstrate strength, but spiritual deterioration. Their detachment from truth reveals not resilience but breakdown. Their refusal to acknowledge reality is no longer a stance. It is a symptom. The consequences they now face transcend the material world, though they certainly appear there too. Financial collapse, reputation loss, relationship breakdown, structural failure. But beyond all of that lies a deeper reckoning and existential confrontation with the truth they tried to suppress. And while some of these consequences unfold publicly for all to see, others occur privately, silent, personal, inescapable. In both visible and invisible ways, justice reaches every corner. Those who laughed at your faith now face phenomena they can't explain. Those who ridiculed your discernment now experience realities their worldview has no framework for. Your justice was never just about making things right for you. It was always about proving that truth cannot be destroyed, only delayed. They now find themselves immersed in scenarios their limited minds never could have predicted, confronted by a reality they once denied, stepping into territories their shallow understanding never equipped them to navigate. Those who once scoffed at your insights now stumble through a maze of spiritual consequence with no compass to guide them. Their fear grows not only because of what is happening, but because they are finally facing what their belief systems claimed couldn't possibly exist. What once felt to them like fiction, spiritual law, divine justice, cosmic protection is now the very force unraveling their plans. They are confronting a world they dismissed, and it terrifies them. Universal support for truth speakers becomes unmistakably evident when the fire of opposition burns hottest. It is precisely when persecution reaches peak intensity that the cosmic armor shielding divine messengers begins to shimmer into view. When the attacks become most coordinated and vicious, the spiritual defense surrounding those who walk in light becomes undeniable. And in your case, this is exactly what has unfolded. The times you felt most vulnerable were actually moments of sacred invincibility. What they saw as weakness was divine concealment, and what they interpreted as silence was spiritual strategy. Now, as the tides shift, their fear grows proportionally with their dawning realization of what they've truly provoked. They are only beginning to grasp the magnitude of the spiritual forces they awaken by rising against truth. These forces don't operate within human frameworks or limited intellectual models. They move through divine intelligence and cosmic precision. What they thought was simply conflict with another person turns out to be opposition to universal law itself. Their rejection of divine truth triggered a cosmic sequence far beyond their comprehension. The consequences they now endure are not punishment. They are the natural result of energetic decisions. They find themselves standing in the exact space their choices created, facing the very manifestations they worked so hard to avoid. There is no external judgment here, only the pure outcome of misaligned intent. The fear they now wear like a second skin isn't accidental. It is the soul's instinctive recognition that they've reached a spiritual threshold. The careful illusion they constructed is imploding under the weight of truth. And yet you remain still because you've learned the universe doesn't need your help to balance itself. Divine order restores itself flawlessly. Spiritual justice operates with or without your effort. This understanding frees you. You're no longer burdened with the need to prove, fight, or correct. Your vindication unfolds through principles far greater than revenge. It arrives through the silent, unstoppable momentum of natural law. And your life, your walk, your survival is all the evidence you need. You don't need to argue your truth when you've lived it. Every breath you take, despite their attempts to silence you, becomes a testimony. Every step forward you make in peace and grace is a message louder than any public defense. Your continued evolution, despite their best efforts to keep you down, proves everything they worked so hard to deny. Your very existence becomes a living contradiction to their lies. You are both the defense and the witness, the proof and the prophecy. You are the storm they never saw coming. Justice, real justice, doesn't shout. It arrives in silence and settles like truth that can no longer be ignored. And now it's here. Not early, not late, but right on divine time. What you once called delay was never delay. It was divine timing arranging circumstances for maximum impact. The universe never forgot what was done to you. The delay was not absence. It was alignment. Behind the scenes, forces you couldn't see were working in synchronization to bring forth the truth in a way that no one could deny. Those who once laughed at your intuition, mocked your visions, or dismissed your discernment are now surrounded by undeniable evidence. They are experiencing the exact spiritual consequences of resisting what was meant to be revealed. The mockers, the saboteurs, the manipulators, each is now encountering what they feared most: financial turmoil, public exposure, emotional collapse, relationship breakdown. But beyond all of these visible consequences is something even more profound: a spiritual reckoning. The soul itself is called to account. And while this happens on one level publicly in ways that others can see, much of it unfolds privately, deep within. Some justice plays out in front of witnesses. Other forms of justice appear behind closed doors. Only the individual knows the weight of it. Yet both are real and both are divine. The dual dimensions of justice, seen and unseen, create a comprehensive reckoning that no denial can escape. The same people who dismissed your spiritual awareness now find themselves immersed in realities their material minds can't grasp. The ones who called you dramatic or delusional now face experiences for which their logic offers no explanation. This is no longer about you versus them. It's about spiritual law revealing its intelligence. Your vindication is not just for your healing. It's a message to the world that truth cannot be silenced forever. Your personal experience has become part of a collective awakening. This moment is not just a win. It's a revelation. The protection you always had now becomes visible. The light that always guided you now becomes undeniable. And the contrast between your path and theirs, it says everything. While you rose in humility and grace, they sank in arrogance and denial. While you surrendered to growth, they resisted every opportunity for change. While you aligned with truth, they allied with illusion. And now those different choices have bloomed into completely different outcomes. You experience peace because you endured with integrity. They suffer chaos because they opposed what was never meant to be fought. Their suffering is not your responsibility, but your peace is your reward. The fear you see in them now is a confession. It is a living admission that they now understand, even if only on a soul level, what they've done. And the more they resist, the more intense the consequence becomes. Evasion doesn't cancel truth. That just deepens the correction. Delay doesn't mean escape. It simply increases the impact when the balance returns. And now the return is here. Watch with calm assurance as the universe completes its work. No retaliation needed. No bitterness required. You are aligned. You are covered. And the orchestration of justice happening now across multiple layers, emotional, financial, relational, energetic, is proof that divine law never forgets. Your vindication is spiritual, emotional, and practical. It stretches across time, dimensions, and awareness. This is not destruction. It's revelation, not vengeance. It's truth revealed in its full, undeniable brilliance. And what was always hidden, your protection, your purpose, your purity, now stands in the open for all to see. Now the universe itself rises in validation of your journey, your truth, and your unwavering stance. What once appeared to be weakness, moments where you were outnumbered, silenced, or cast aside, now reveals itself as profound invincibility. It is precisely at the peak of opposition, when the darkness coordinated its most aggressive assault, that the full force of your spiritual strength emerges. What they perceived as fragility was divine stillness. What they mistook for defeat was sacred restraint. And now their escalating fear is not just about what they see happening around them. It's about what they feel pressing in from realms they never acknowledged. Because what's coming now transcends the material. This isn't just about ruined reputations or financial downfall. This is about confronting the ultimate mirror, the one that reflects spiritual truth. Their terror is a silent confession, a subconscious recognition that they've activated forces they were never meant to challenge. Somewhere deep within, even if they deny it aloud, they understand they've moved against something greater than them. Their fear signals not just guilt, but spiritual awareness, an instinctive knowing that there's no way to escape the reckoning that unfolds when divine balance is restored. This is no longer just your personal story. Your vindication has expanded into a sacred act of collective awakening. What you endured wasn't for nothing. It was for something far larger than personal validation. Your struggle, your silence, your perseverance, it has cracked open the path for others to awaken. Your individual victory is now a key that unlocks freedom for many. The divine timing of your justice is no coincidence. It didn't come when you demanded it, nor when the world expected it. It arrived at the exact moment it was meant to, according to the flawless precision of cosmic scheduling. The universal calendar does not operate according to mortal timelines. It moves by divine law and perfect orchestration, unmoved by human impatience or misunderstanding. Those who rose against you thought your silence was weakness and your isolation was defeat. They never realized you were covered by a force far beyond their comprehension. Now, too late, they begin to sense it, the spiritual authorities who guard the truth. the unseen protection that envelops those chosen to carry light. Their fear now testifies to a dawning realization. They opposed not just a person but a sacred principle. They didn't just attack you. They challenged the very flow of divine order. The justice unfolding before them now wasn't conjured by revenge or driven by retaliation. It was triggered by their own actions, powered by the natural, unchanging laws of the universe. It wasn't your hand that moved it forward. It was the unavoidable outcome of cosmic principle. You didn't need to scheme or fight for this moment. It came because it was always meant to. Because truth once planted grows. Because energy once set in motion returns. This is not the result of your force but of your alignment. Not the product of manipulation but the fruit of obedience to higher law. Not a calculated win but a divine fulfillment. And now you are called not to act but to witness, to stand as the conscious observer of a justice so perfect, so complete, that it needs nothing from you except awareness. Your presence, your survival, your peace, those are enough. Everything you stood for is now confirmed not by argument but by unfolding events. The very existence of this moment proves that you were always aligned with something sacred. Let them feel what you once carried alone. Let them now understand the weight of the truth they tried to bury. For what was once hidden is now made plain. What was once denied is now undeniable. And what was once mocked is now the very force bringing everything back into balance. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video. This is the best way to wrap up today's video. And as always, chosen ones, we will meet again in the next one. The journey continues, and every revelation brings us closer to the truth that has been quietly unfolding behind the scenes of your life. Before you go, if today's message resonated with what you've been sensing or experiencing, you may want to explore my previous videos, especially the ones where we uncovered why they were terrified of your awakening, or the one revealing how your destiny exposed the hidden agendas around you. These videos connect to the same spiritual thread we discussed today, and I think you'll find even deeper clarity and confirmation there. No pressure. Just follow what your intuition pulls you toward. Now, if this video spoke to your soul, don't forget to like the video. It truly helps this message reach others who need it. Share it with someone who might be walking the same path. And drop a comment below. Let me know what part of today's revelation hit you the hardest. Your voice adds power to this community. Stay aligned, stay awakened. And until we meet again, keep your spirit sharp, your intuition open, and your light untouchable.